here at Scope Hamptons, Philadelphia is represented in the Knapp Gallery. And I'm with Jeffrey Frederick, who's the executive director. And it's hot under these bright lights.
Very hot. Which
bring out this great art. But your gallery has some heck of a story. From this traditional conservative Philadelphia has emerged a new energy, which is the Knapp Gallery, and the artists that you represent. So go at it, Jeffrey.
Well, it's kind of a long story. I don't know how much tape you have.
Well, we want to hear. This is a story.
Well, I became involved with the gallery about 1.5 years ago by the owners, Rebecca and Barclay Knapp. I'd worked at a couple different galleries in Philadelphia and was privately representing some different artists. And when I came to Knapp, they pretty much gave me carte blanche to bring all my artists along, and I pretty much sort of turned the gallery upside down, brought on all my artists, and for about the past 1.5 years, we've done about 12 shows, many solo shows of Philadelphia artists. Well, Ernie, this artist here is Margaret Actually. As I told you, she is a Polish immunologist out of Louisville, Kentucky. She does microscopic photography of chemical compositions. She's actually won the Nikon Small World competition 4 years in a row. What she actually does is she'll use a crystalline chemical structure using polarized light magnified maybe 10 to 25 times. None of this is digitally manipulated or anything. This is all how it naturally exists in the composition of the chemical. And I met Margaret by chance. She happened to walk into the gallery about 1 year ago, said she was looking for representation, saw her book, and I said, don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere until I get all your information. And I wound up giving her a solo show about 4 months later.
Again, something that I've never seen anything like this before.
Thank you. I've never have either. That's why I was so amazed by her work. I originally met Ken Paris actually while I was working at another gallery in Philadelphia called the Fuel Collection. And right when I came on to the Fuel Collection, I was given the job to look through all the artists that had submitted to the gallery. And I immediately, when I saw Ken's work, I was amazed by it. And I think I called him up the next day, and we wound up talking on the phone for a good, 2 hours or something. And we kept in touch over the past few years, and now fortunately I'm in the position to be able to showcase Ken. And we're looking forward to a solo exhibition of his in November and December. He's working on all new pieces. These are actually all new pieces as well, these two large ones, as well as I believe this chain piece. So we're very excited to be showcasing his work here at Scope. I know Ken's excited. Well, it's my pleasure to introduce Kenneth Paris III.
This is tremendous. It's great to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Let's talk about this, because this is the work of an old master, but you're a young contemporary, and that seems to be what the Knapp Gallery is all about, the traditional, historic part of what Philadelphia is about, but these emerging artists that have so much to offer. Let's talk about your work.
Yeah, this is a new series that I worked on called the Push-Pull series, which essentially is a whole study of tension, both physical and metaphysical tension. So using sort of these objects like the sheets and the chains and things like that, that will come on and take this sort of symbolism of restraint, and using all these objects as things to push against. And I saw a lot of different stories in this, with sort of traditional elements like the chain being a symbol of being held down, and you sort of think, well, the rope as well being a political sort of statement of bureaucratic systems and things like that. So I started to read in stories to that and wanted to kind of get that across. But I also liked the fact that I wanted to leave it really open for the audience too, where some things really seem, is it an act of love, is it an act of passion, is it an act of violence? So sort of implicate the audience and let them make the decision.
That's interesting. You mentioned, is it an act of love, passion, violence? Seeing this lady, what could be a bed, there's such strength that comes from this.
Right, right. Yeah, and I like seeing that tension in the muscle and showing that. And like I said, I want to keep it open, though, for the audience to be a part of the process so that they can make the decision on what it's really ultimately about.
And if being part of an important gallery like the Knapp Gallery is, for you as an artist, that gives you a lot, doesn't it?
It definitely does. I mean, especially meeting someone like Jeff, who is young and has a lot of great energy, and really in a city like Philadelphia, like you've said, with all the tradition, but at the same time, the market there isn't like New York. But what Knapp is doing is something totally different. They're really taking it to the next level. So you have someone like the Knapps behind you, someone like Jeff just really in your corner to say, hey, this is Kenneth Paris, these are artists I believe in, and this is what we're going to do here, and we're going to take it to the next level. So that's it. It's great. It's great to be a part of it.
Scope Hamptons has become a major event because it is a showcase for emerging artists.
Right.
And also emerging young galleries that are bringing to the market, bringing to this international community the work of artists like yourself. And this is so wonderful because you epitomize what Scope Hampton is all about.
Right, great, thank you. Yeah, it's, like I said, I'm really happy to be a part of this, and I actually live in New York and work in Brooklyn, and Jeff and I got together in Philadelphia, and Philadelphia's doing it, and Knapp's doing it, so it's great to be a part of it all.
Well, continued success. One of your artists is Chuck Connelly, and he is like the anti-artist. He's amazing. And what a history he has, and he's also the subject of a documentary.
Chuck is definitely an interesting character. I was fortunate to meet Chuck Connelly about 3 years ago because I lived in the same neighborhood as him in East Oak Lane, and we very quickly became good friends. And it was just by chance that, 2 years later, I was in the position to be able to represent Chuck. And now not only am I one of his best friends, but I also sort of exclusively handle all of his work, and I talk to him about 15 times a day. He calls me every single day at 11 o'clock in the morning.
But he's huge. I mean, the story behind him and the art that he's created. I know we have 3 representative pieces that we've been looking at.
Those are just a glimpse into the world of Chuck Connelly. I mean, Chuck is easily one of the most prolific living artists alive today.
One of the other master artists that's part of your gallery is Tom Brady. Could we talk a little bit about Tom?
Can. Tom, I actually was introduced to Tom Brady by Chuck Connelly. Tom Brady also lives in East Oak Lane. Tom is another painter that is absolutely, in my mind, one of the best. I don't know how else to say it. I've never seen anybody do what Tom does with paint. His vision is just incredible. And I am extremely fortunate to be able to show Tom's work.
Could you describe, Jeffrey, what we're looking at and as a professional in this business?
I mean, you know what? I am continuously amazed by Tom's work, and I'm always trying to figure it out. This is all done with oil paint and brushes. All right? Now, this is incredibly thick. I mean, there's several $100s worth of oil paint just right there on that canvas. I mean, you can see how thick. It's almost sculptural. And Tom's process is incredible. Tom will start with some pastel drawings. From those pastels, he'll then do numerous sketches. From those sketches, he'll pick 5, do another 50, let's say, sketches, and then narrow that down to 5, which he'll then create paintings out of. So what the viewer might originally take as sort of an abstract expressionist painting is actually the furthest thing from that.
Jeffrey, John Eckel is part of the New Philadelphia School. Could we talk about the New Philadelphia School?
Sure, sure. John Eckel is actually another very good friend of mine who I went to school with and I've known for about 10 years. And John actually, when I took over at the Knapp Gallery, John was actually the first artist that I did a solo exhibition of. John's work is exceptional. He's very young, but you would never guess that. He has such a... I mean, he paints like a veteran. People that saw his work would think that he was in his 60s. When they heard he's 28, they couldn't believe it. So John is one of 6 artists that are part of the New Philadelphia School, another one being to the left here, Giapo Di Federico, who is an Italian-American artist, very sort of avant-garde, a lot of religious, sort of contemporary religious iconography and pop culture. And also, this is another piece by Giacomo di Federico. Again, a lot of religious iconography, but sort of brought into the contemporary setting. Personally, I love his work. You know, there's mixed emotions about his work. It's very controversial. It's very racy. It's not your typical artwork, let's say. Another piece by Giacomo di Federico. He is also a glass artist, and these are 11 sand-cast glass tiles housed in a custom wood frame. He actually graduated in glass blowing, and we actually show a lot of glass sculpture, sort of contemporary glass sculpture at the gallery, which not many galleries in Philadelphia show that type of glass art. Actually, even in scope here, we're one of the few artists that are actually displaying glass art. So we're sort of trying to, or something that I've tried to do over the past few years is, glass has continuously had this struggle of breaking out of its rich history of craft and sort of breaking into the world of fine art. So that's definitely something that we're trying to do here by showcasing the work of this particular artist. Last but not least, the sixth artist in the Philadelphia School is a young man named Adam Farrell, who was also a very good friend of mine, actually my old roommate in college. We used to live together. Adam is an exceptional painter. Again, you know, very avant-garde, not your traditional painting, not your traditional subject matter. He's recently done a lot of these mummy series, which are very comical, but a very serious commentary as well on just sort of, I guess, humanity. You'll notice this continued theme of the nuclear explosion sort of in the background. This piece here, I don't know if you can make it out, but that's Abe Lincoln fighting the mummy. So it's sort of, you know, he takes these interesting sort of, I don't know if it's, some of it I guess is kind of Americana. I don't know, I guess with the, you know, with the Abe Lincoln. The mummy for Adam is just sort of a representation of the figure, sort of this faceless figure, but he's also very concerned with creating an image with minimal brushstroke, and the mummy being a figure that is able to be done very simply with line, and even very rudimentary, sort of very quick line, but you can still immediately make out what it is. So he did this entire series of mummies sort of in these different situations, and now he's moved on to this sort of Pueblo subject matter. And you can almost even sort of see the influence of all the different artists on each other's work. Like this sort of corner of the painting here, to me, is very reminiscent of a John Eckel piece. And Adam and John are actually childhood friends and have known each other their entire lives and constantly critique each other's work and are very involved in each other's work. So there's a very interesting dynamic that we have going on, which is why we were so bold to say that we are the new Philadelphia School.
We're joined by Betty Fader. Betty, you're an art lover, collector. Scope Hamptons, what brought you out here today?
Well, I had a VIP invitation. I also had one in Manhattan, and I was out of town, and so I couldn't attend that one. So I was looking forward to coming today.
Why are these art fairs, Scope Hamptons, important?
Well, I think they're very important because there's a lot of artists that started here years ago and artists that are painting as we speak. And I think that people that live out here appreciate art. I know I do. Husband and I have a great collection at home. And I like all types of art. I like it contemporary, I like modern, and very, very much I like individuals. I like art where, well, right over there, I'm looking at a beautiful one of a woman sitting between trees, and it's very appealing to me. It's at the other end of this hall.
Well, thank you for being part of this, Betty Fader. You live in...
I live in Manhattan, and I also live in East Hampton.
Well, you're our kind of person.
And in East Hampton, I live on a boat.
Well.
That's unusual.
Thank you so much.
Very much.
Well, look who's here. Eileen,
Hi,
what a pleasure to
It's
see
so nice
you.
to see all of you,
Oh, our favorite artist. Eileen, this is so terrific. And you were part of our East Hampton Artist Alliance tour, and we had an opportunity.
Yes, and it was a big success. Sold a lot of work. I met a lot of new people. It's fabulous. So great to see people coming out to see original artwork where it's made in the studio.
Well, you're an artist, and as
Yes.
an emerging artist, but you've emerged.
Yes.
You're out there.
Yes, yes, yes.
This is such a thrill to be part of the Scope Hamptons, isn't it?
Yes, Scope Hamptons is bringing a fresh new look to the Hamptons, and it's cutting edge, beautiful art by young artists, and we are very lucky to have it.
Now, you have two pieces that will be at that'll be part of this event. Could we talk about that?
Yes, you can.
Oh, tell me more.
I have two pieces in the decorator John Bajornan's room at the Hamptons Cottages and Gardens Idea House, which is a fabulous house designed by Seth Howe, who I showed with at the Artists Alliance tour. And I have a Persian rug piece with roses with guns. And I have a Bang Bang Minimalist piece of black and white roses. And they're very beautiful.
Eileen, we have this segment, a little bit of the segment that we shot with you at your studio. We're going to take a look at that now. For our viewers who didn't have a chance to see it, this is an amazing look at Eileen and her work, and continued success to you. We love catching up with you at these great events.
Well, thanks very much. This is a fabulous event. Everybody's inside having a great time and looking at all the fabulous art. I'm very happy to be here with Hamptons TV. It's a rose I photographed on Block Island when my husband and I were there in our boat last year. And now I'm painting it with cotton candy. And it's really fun. And kids, you can try this at home. It also looks like I used some pinky neon pink on this. I see it right here.
I like the two pinks. Gives it a nice texture.
Thank you very much.
Artists like Eileen Hickey Hume, who use nail polish and lipstick and makeup to make fabulous, beautiful art. Hi.
Hi.
Thanks so much for having us. Your art is fantastic. It's amazing. And so are you, by the way.
Well, I'm thrilled to be here at the Bang Bang Barn.
Well, let's talk about how it started. Were you just making yourself up one day, and then how did it start with the makeup on canvas? Or
I keep my nail polish near my bed to touch up every night, and I was making doodles, and I started filling them in with nail polish, and I'd been mixing my own paints, and I'd been using lipstick. But I realized Chanel was paying people thousands of dollars a year to make these fabulous colors. So
yeah, they know something.
I realized it was me.
Is that your brand of choice?
No, I like all brands. I'm an equal opportunity nail polish user. I just go in the drugstore and I just fill her up. I head for the 50-cent bin.
And your colors are so, your paintings are so vibrant.
Thank
But that's
you.
not, you don't just use makeup, so you mix it with paints.
Sometimes. Lately I've been using mostly just nail polish.
Oh my God, and they're fun. Your pieces are fun. They make
Yes.
people happy, I bet.
Yes, they make me happy. I love it. I love an excuse to buy nail polish. This painting down here is one of the most fabulous Persian rugs ever woven. Was at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in 1970, and it's 200 yards long. It's a sheik's rug from the desert, and they ran it up the walls, almost like it was wallpaper, and across the ceiling and down the other wall because it was too big to fit on a regular wall. And it has everything. It has animals. It has flowers. You know, some carpets are just geometric. This has every goddamn thing. It's got like an animal border, like with leopards eating deer, you know, and big Chinese clouds. It shows all the Chinese influence, and Chinese roses and Chinese tulips, along with very geometric patterning. And I printed a very, in the 70s, I painted a very small portion of the carpet, 2 inches square. And then I blew it up on the canvas and printed it and stretched it. And then I painted it with nail polish this year, like yesterday.
So were you a photographer at any time?
No, but I love graphics. I love photographs. I love mechanical printmaking. I love rubber stamps. I love...
And you also use the grid. What is that? What's the grid to you? Is that organized?
Well, it's making a statement, I think, about luminous space and endless, eternal space. And Agnes Martin is also a very big influence on me. I worked at Pace Editions in the early 70s when they were just starting to make prints as fine art. They were establishing prints as valuable an art work as a painting, and she does grids, and they radiate luminosity and seem to reference endless space, openness. Anything's possible.
Oh, that's interesting.
And I very much relate to that. And I was working on grids. I worked with grids for a number of years when I was first started painting, and a rose popped out of the middle. I was working with squares a lot, and I think the tension from the side coming in makes the center like sort of vibrate, and a rose popped out.
Wow.
It was not a thought process. It was an event that happened, and I went with it. And I think there's nothing as beautiful as a rose. It's just amazing. It just gives you so much. And I photographed the Rogers Memorial Library in Southampton and done a lot of prints of those roses and worked on them with nail polish. And I was just there for the blooms this year in June. It's spectacular. And has a group of dedicated people who work with roses in Southampton. This is rose window chart. So this is my version of the rose window, the stained glass window that's in Chartres Cathedral. This is from a Pella window advertisement. And I selected the portion of it that I wanted, blew it up, and worked with the printer, and made this grid. Because I really like grids. I like to use my own imagery. It's my form of minimalism. It's Eileen Hickey here. It's bang, bang minimalism. So it's grids of roses, grids of window advertisements, grids.
thank you for being part of our coverage of Scope Hamptons, this Hamptons Weekend of Art. Scope Hamptons is located at 77 Industrial Road in East Hampton, south of the airport. We invite all of our viewers to come and be part of this event. It's opened every day through Sunday from noon till 6 p.m. Lots of events and lots of events around this great Scope Hamptons. For WVVH-TV, I'm Ernie Shimizi. Thanks for watching.